Mangwana ni mwalilepo fukenjani Klasvana ve Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You're joined by Ashwin Mberi and would like to wish Botswana, the country, and Botswana, the people, a happy voting day as they practice their democratic right in elections. These are some of the top stories that we're looking at today. South Africa's Home Affairs to use corrupt officials' pension funds to recoup fraud costs. Over 14 million people displaced in Sudan, IOM says. And Senegalese president urges calm ahead of November polls. Follow all our programs on oneup2.com or DSTV 285 and GoTV 25 in Namibia. Arrie Hougaard will also fill us in on the news making waves in South Africa as well as the sport. This is Africa Good Morning. Top stories shortly.
Irongomed is a leading distributor, working in partnership with NewMed and WestMed to meet the comprehensive needs of the Namibian healthcare sector. As a partner pursuing sustainable global healthcare, we offer industry-leading medical solutions through our key focus areas, which include pharmaceuticals, orthopedics, ophthalmology, surgical devices and capital equipment, as well as a well-established scientific laboratory division. In healthcare, Irongomed is committed to making a difference. What about you?
In our top stories, South Africa's Home Affairs is set to use corrupt officials' pension funds to recoup fraud costs. They plan to recoup the cost of failed objectives from the officials responsible. A multidisciplinary task team has been studying the work of the department, searching for ways to tighten efficiency. Human error in the processing of documents was a large area of concern, creating the perfect breeding ground for fraud and corruption. The task team focused their energies on 25 functions of Home Affairs offices. The three panelists giving their presentation to the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs on the 29th of October were data analyst Warwick Meyer, director of CAJV Rose Bishop, and head of legal Ricky Singh. Now, the head of the International Organization for Migration said yesterday that over 14 million people had fled their homes in Sudan, either inside the country or over its borders, with some 200,000 people fleeing last month. The 11 million are people internally displaced within the country, and 3.1 million are those who have crossed borders. So that's over 14 million people who are on the move right now, IOM Director General Amy Pope told reporters. She later added that the total figure included some people who were displaced before the civil war began in April last year. Burkina Faso should urgently prioritize the protection of civilians amid its ongoing struggle with armed rebels, Human Rights Watch has said in a report. The NGO stated that the government puts people at unnecessary risk during an armed group attack earlier this year. At least 133 people were killed by the al-Qaeda-linked Yama Ayat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin in August. The incident in the central part of the country was one of the year's deadliest as Burkina Faso continues to be ravaged by attacks by armed groups. Villages in the Barcelona commune, 80 kilometers from the capital Ouagadougou, were forced to help security forces dig up trenches to protect security outposts and villages. JNIM fighters then opened fire on them, according to witnesses quoted in the report. Now, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye of Senegal has assured voters that the upcoming vote on 17 November will be transparent and fair, calling on all participants to exercise restraint. Faye called on all parties to act with responsibility, restraint and moderation, reaffirming his commitment to free, democratic and transparent elections. On November 17, Faye dissolved the opposition-led National Assembly, paving the way for early legislative elections. Faye is Africa's youngest elected leader. His campaign pledged to fight corruption and ensure the population receives a more equitable share of the country's natural resources. And a leading member of Malawi's opposition has been charged with plotting to kill the country's president, Lazarus Chakwera. Patricia Kaliati, Secretary General of the UTM party, was arrested last week on suspicion of conspiring with others to commit a serious offense. Appearing on Monday at a court in Malawi's capital, Lilongwe, the 57-year-old did not speak, but her lawyer argued that the politician maintained her innocence, local media reports. Few details of the alleged plot have been shared, and various opposition figures claim the charges against Kaliati are politically motivated. Inside the court heard that Kaliati had two co-conspirators said to be on the run. The magistrate eventually ruled that Kaliati could be released on bail as investigations continue. Now, she is expected to challenge Chakwera in next year's presidential election. A primary school teacher before entering politics, Kaliati is well known for her outspoken, straight-talking character. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. Now in South Africa, the Minister of Finance, Enoch Godongwana, will present his midterm policy statement in Parliament today. Those and other stories coming from Arrie Hougaard after the break.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
All right, it's time for us to talk to Arrie Hougaard in South Africa as he brings us the latest news stories from Zanzi. Good morning, Arrie. How are you?
Yes, a very good morning, Ashwin, and nice to talk to you. Yes, lovely day in Cape Town.
All right, it is a lovely day. Let's get straight into it, Arrie. The Minister of Finance, Enoch Godongwana, will present his midterm policy statement in Parliament today. Tell us more about this.
A good pointer for South Africa to see where the country is going, what's happening economically, and how the road looks ahead. And it's also a glimpse at the priorities of the new government, national government of national unity. So that's also new. That is the minister speaking today. So lots of points to address. And some of the points that everybody's looking out for is firstly the positives. There's been a gain of 4% in the rand dollar. That was since the GNU, the Government of National Unity. And so the rand strengthened to just below 18. It's about $17.70 around there. But infrastructure and cost to make South Africa be able to be a strong economy in an emerging market. For instance, the Durban Harbour, the upgrades there from Transnet, and that's done. That's a new thing that we'll see how we will explain that is the role of the private sector helping, assisting some of the government organizations. And then also it is power utilization and the energy, always a challenge for South Africa. We have not had any load shedding for the last 7 months, so that is quite positive. And then also the municipalities working, that's the harbour in Durban. It's important that the infrastructures of South Africa work, the role of the private sector, and then obviously the municipalities in all the regions doing well. So the still pressure on South Africa's got lots of debt. GDP not growing as much as they want to as well, but we'll see how that develops. But today he will explain everything to everyone, and hopefully there's good news for the economy.
All right, Arrie, we're certainly looking forward to that address. Now, in the next of your stories, the South African Competition Tribunal has blocked a 14 billion rand deal. Tell us about this.
It's a big call that they made. It's Vodacom and Vumatel together with wanting to link with Mazer, and that is Vodacom there. It is the concern of the Competition Commission, as they worded it. They said that would lessen competition and it will cause permanent structural change to broadband market. Okay, so that's lots of words. It is frustrating for Vodacom, Vumatel, and Mosif. And the reason for that is that it was mainly a focus to have the services to the services where the people don't have that much money and access to that. So it's more for the lower income side of the community where the services was meant to be. It was meant for about 1 million homes in the lower income over a 5-year period. It would have created 10,000 jobs. So there's lots of frustration also from Vodacom. They will probably appeal that in the Competition Appeal Commission, and we'll see if that will happen. It was proposed a 30% stake in Mazif. That was what Vodacom proposed. So let's see, there's the reasons, so all the reasons is yet to be made clear by the competition tribunal. They will do that in due course. But it is frustrating for Vodacom, and hopefully they can resolve it and find a way that that services can still be implemented. And obviously Vumatel is the biggest broadband and fiber company in South Africa.
All right. We'll certainly be keeping an eye on that one. Certainly seems like the Competition Commission is well on top of it. Now, heavy rainfall in Mpumalanga caused severe floods and more than 30 schools were damaged, Arrie.
Yes, it is lots of pressure on the education system for a while now, and it's not only because of the weather, it's because of infrastructure. The pass rate in South Africa the last year was 20 or 82.9%. The national pass rate. So this also put pressure on the exams being written at the moment. So that's one of the rivers overflowing. 30 schools have been damaged. So it affected some of the learners that had to write senior certificate exams, but they were accommodated. So that's some of the damage that was done. So it's difficult in the regions. And Mpumalanga also under pressure. They put 50% total staff shortage. That is on administration staff. There's about 2,069, just for the 2,000 posts that is still vacant. And some important posts like psychologists, etc., that needs to be in the school system. But as it isn't enough that there's some challenges with money available and infrastructure, also the weather did play a part. And that is the reality that we see there on the screen. Is that people need to have school under trees when the buildings blow away. So that's not the way you want to have school. So hopefully they can address that very soon.
Well, we'll certainly be hoping that that is mitigated sooner rather than later. That is some significant damage to speak of there, Arrie. Now, the International Union for Conservation of Nature has graded the African penguins as critically endangered.
Yes, and just behind me, if you go around Cape Point a little bit further, you get to Boulders Beach, and then Boulders Beach is one of the places where the African penguin is in its natural habitat, and it's a big tourist attraction. But that's the National Union of Conservation of Nature, and it seems like it's quite a radical statement they've made. The reasons being it's commercial fishing as well that's playing a big role in this, but there's been a rapid decline in the numbers of the African penguin. They say that there's just 8,000 breeding pairs, in the system or on Earth, so to speak. So they say in 10 years they could be extinct. So that is a big statement being made, and there's a massive decline. Those are the African penguins, and that is Boulders Beach there that I've talked about. So that's where they national breeding ground for them. So hopefully it can be addressed. I'm not sure how it will be addressed because the commercial fishing will probably just continue as it is. So it is sad to see, but hopefully it can be addressed in a way that the decline can be at least stopped. So that is a big tourist attraction in Cape Town as well. Thousands of tourists go to this Boulders Beach every year to see the penguins. So hopefully they can save them. It is important for our environment. We must look out for nature. So hopefully that can be addressed in a good way with a good result.
Thank you very much, Arrie, for bringing us the news stories as they are from South Africa. Very worried, particularly about the penguins, considering, I'm assuming those are the same ones I would have seen in Luderitz.
Yes, I would think so. I think they go up that way. The African penguin is not only in the Cape area; it's on the particularly on the colder side, on the west coast of South Africa, on the Atlantic side. So yes, of course they will go up as high. So definitely. So we need to protect them for everyone to see them. So yes, hopefully they can make a plan.
All right. Thank you very much, Arrie, yet again, for bringing us the stories from Zanzibar. Now, Ghana may begin sourcing petroleum products from Nigeria's Dangote oil refinery. We'll get into that economic news story after the weather. In economic news, Ghana may begin sourcing petroleum products from Nigeria's Dangote oil refinery once the facility reaches full capacity, according to Mustafa Abdul Hamid, chairman of Ghana's National Petroleum Authority. This shift is expected to reduce Ghana's reliance on costly European imports, according to Reuters. At the OTL Africa Downstream Oil Conference in Lagos, Abdul Hamid said this shift could save Ghana approximately $400 million in monthly fuel imports from Europe. The refinery, a project by Nigerian billionaire Aliko Dangote, is anticipated to approach full operational capacity by the end of the year, with analysts projecting complete functionality by early 2025. Now, during French President Emmanuel Macron's state visit to Morocco, he and Moroccan King Mohammed VI signed new deals at the Royal Palace, bolstering ties between the two nations, that is King Mohammed VI. The agreements, which are worth around 10 billion euro, cover issues including investment, energy and infrastructure. According to the agreement, French rail manufacturer Alstom will give up to 18 high-speed train cars to Morocco. The AFP news agency reported that the Moroccan Phosphates Office and energy companies ENGIES sealed an agreement with potential investments of up to 3.5 billion euro. On Tuesday, Macron was set to address Parliament. The visit, which was at the King's invitation, comes months after President Macron altered France's long-standing stance and supported Morocco's autonomy's plan for the disputed Western Sahara. Macron described the plan as the only basis for achieving a just, lasting and negotiated political solution to the issue. The move was welcomed by Rabat after years of strained relations. The UN states that the Western Sahara is a non-self-governing territory over which Morocco cannot claim it has sovereignty. Let's have a look at the economic indicators just before Arrie Hougaard swings back with the sport.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
time for international sports news, and starting off with soccer news first. And the news currently trending in English football is Manchester United and who they will appoint as coach to replace Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag, that was sacked by Manchester United. A difficult season so far for Manchester United, and they're 14th on the league at the moment. A few names that's been mentioned is one that seems to be the favourite at the moment. One of them is Ruben Amorim. He's currently coaching at Sporting in Lisbon, and that is in Portugal. And he also served under Pep Guardiola for many years as an interim coach or assistant coach. Other names that's being mentioned at the moment is Zinedine Zidane, the Frenchman, also Xavi, and then also Kieran McKenna. Kieran McKenna, he coached at United between 2016 and 2021. He knows Manchester United quite well and is doing well with Ipswich at the moment. So a few coaches that might come forward, but it's not been confirmed yet. There's obviously negotiations on the way to find a new coach. What's currently happening for Manchester United, they need to play this coming Sunday at home against Chelsea, and the coach for that game will be Ruud van Nistelrooy. He's been brought in this season to be assistant coach to Erik ten Hag, so he will be the head coach for the game against Chelsea, and the interim coach until a permanent coach has been appointed. More soccer news is that the Ballon d'Or winner has been announced. That's the best soccer player in the men's division in world football, and that goes to Rodri. He is from Spain. He's the Spain international, also plays for Manchester City, and he was involved with Spain obviously earlier this year when Spain won Euro 2024, and also part of the Manchester City team that won the English Premier League in the previous season. Continuing international sports news with cricket news, it is former South African cricket coach Gary Kirsten that resigned as the limited over coach for Pakistan. He was just in that position for 6 months. He was appointed on a 2-year contract. Apparently, according to reports, Kirsten had a strained relationship with the Pakistan Cricket Board, and that is over selections. Pakistan tour Australia now for a one-day series, and they will be coached in the one-day series by their test coach at the moment. That is Jason Gillespie, also a former Australian cricketer. To close off today's international sports news, it is tennis news. One of the big tournaments of the year, the Paris Masters, will start this week. The number 1 seeded player in the men's division is Yannick Sinner of Italy, and he will play against a qualifier in the first round. And then it is Carlos Alcaraz, number 2 seed. He will play against Nicolas Jarre. And number 3 seed is Alexander Zverev of Germany, and he will play against Dylan Griekspoor of the Netherlands. So a very strong field. Unfortunately, it was Novak Djokovic that had to withdrew from the tournament earlier because of injury, and it is the tournament that starts this week, and the final will be played over the weekend. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning throughout the broadcast. Here are some of the highlights. Home Affairs officials in South Africa to use corrupt officials' pension funds to recoup fraud costs. Over 14 million people displaced in Sudan, IOM says. Ghana eyes Dangote oil refinery to cut $400 million in monthly fuel import costs. DSTV 285, GoTV 25, OneUp2.com, and Network Media Hub on YouTube is precisely where you can find us. From me, Ashim Bedi, and the Africa Good Morning team, we'll see you tomorrow. But first, Swereja Kanaka.